not only was I doing something new, I was also filled with a lot of self-doubt. I just was like, this is the wrong idea. I've made the biggest mistake of my life.
Hi, Affiong.
Hello, how are you?
So good to finally meet the face behind ReelFruit. I follow you on Twitter.
I get
I'm
that a
big
lot.
fan.
Thank you.
So, just for our audience, in case people don't know you, I doubt that, but could you introduce yourself, what
Yes.
you do, and
Sure, thank you. I am the founder of ReelFruit. I've been running the business since 2012, and we are the largest sort of dried fruit snack company in Nigeria. We retail a range of about 9 unique products to over 500 stores across Nigeria. So, our mission is really to bring healthy snacks and dried fruits to all Nigerians, or as many as we can.
so I guess congratulations are in line for your fundraise.
Thank you very
$3
much.
million.
Thank you very much.
What I found interesting is that it took you 9 years to do that. Was that deliberate? And tell me the story behind it.
So no, it wasn't deliberate, but basically it was, it was just, I think, a function of my, the business I had started. The fact that we had to spend a lot of years first proving the concept. We retail and introduce dried fruits into the Nigerian market, and it didn't exist before. So before we would even become investable, we'd had to demonstrate that there was a local market and enough people were buying it. So the first 5 years of our business was really doing just that, like ensuring that this was not a flash in the pan product, and it's one that had a growing market. And so that's why our fundraising took a lot. And of course, married with all the other challenges of raising funding in Nigeria, compounding all of that together, it just was a long ride. And yeah, I'm really obviously glad with the outcome, but it definitely took a very long time.
I read an interview you gave where you said you had to at some point resort to raising in small amounts.
Yes.
And then using that like a proof of concept.
Yes.
How did that work out?
Well, that worked out partly because we were just so unsuccessful at raising a large round. So at some point it sort of made sense to, and I think what I learned from that experience was that people didn't really believe in the big picture. Was too much to get people to believe that, we were going to expand by this amount, etc. But people actually much rather believe that we could double our sales or hire more people or open in new locations or launch more products. So that story was a lot more relatable with investors than a very wide and big unknown. And so that rejection combined with us seeing that we're getting more reception from saying, okay, we'll take 100K, but we'll achieve very sort of realizable milestones was something that just worked. And then we continued with it, obviously, to the point where our, sort of lead investors now thought, okay, we can back this big idea because you've proven enough sort of small milestones and showed that you can sort of, you can sort of get the prize. And I think that was very helpful because I stopped also sort of mixing the message, sending, going around in vain, talking about a big raise that was not really going anywhere. And we found that it was easier and quicker for us to get small amounts and just keep pushing the business forward. So I actually recommend that strategy. And I think it's, it's very helpful even to help the entrepreneurs allocate capital. So when we said we would take 100K for X purpose, we'd have to use it for that purpose versus, maybe use it for other things that may not yield immediate returns, or maybe misinvestments because, we just had the money, or it was just a big amount of money. So I really thought that was a very, helpful approach for us, and it worked in our favor.
That's cool. I guess it was also difficult to raise again because you have a physical product as opposed to software product that can grow exponentially.
Yes.
Okay. So my question is, let's go back to the origins of ReelFruit. Why dried food in the first place? Why?
That's a very, very good question. And I think for me too, it wasn't because I was an absolute lover of dried fruit. It's not my passion, but I think for me, when I was starting my business, there were a few things I wanted to do. One, I was very driven by, solving unemployment in Africa and Nigeria, which was a big driver for why I started and why I believed private business was the best way to do that. And then when I settled in on agribusiness and fruit, I wanted to make sure it was value there was value addition locally. It was about not just working with raw materials, but processing them, adding value to them, and being able to sell them around the world. So my initial idea was actually fruit juice, which I did a whole business model for. And, when I looked at the cost, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get the money to actually put up a fruit juice factory. So dried fruit was just by process of elimination. Like, what else could fit that mold? Adding value to fruit processing, etc. And, I was living in South Africa at the time. Dried fruit was very popular, but not known in Nigeria. And I thought, oh yeah, I'll be the first one to bring it to Nigeria and make it big, which was a gift and a curse, I would say. For the first few years, it was not a good idea. Being a first mover is a very, very difficult journey, And, we had to, we had to pay our way and pave the way and build demand for a product that people didn't know. It was very challenging, but obviously today it's paying off.
Well, that was a very bold move. What gave you the conviction that, okay, there's no dry food market in Nigeria, I want to be the first? To take that bold step.
Yeah, it was bold, and of course I didn't know a lot, so that was good. I mean, if I had done more research, I probably would not have done it. But I also got the feeling that Nigerians were a lot more open, to different tastes and different, different foods and snacks. Just the amount of things that were brought in, imported at the time, introduced. It just gave me a clue that we're accepting of different, so it's just about getting people to know it and like it, but it's not that people would not be willing to try it. So that's kind of what also gave me a hint that, okay, if people like it, they'll buy. They will not be put off by the fact that it's new or it's not it's not common. It's that people actually try new things here. So that really worked in my favor.
Cool. That's really interesting. So I found it very interesting that this is your first business, and
hopefully only.
and only business. And I noticed that you studied physiology and psychology.
Yes, yeah.
And then after you graduated, just a year after, you did a postgraduate in business.
Yes.
So I'm guessing that was around the time when you graduated that you decided you want to go in business.
No, actually.
Why did you do the postgraduate?
Well, my initial idea during my undergrad in science was to get into medical school, but it was yes, exactly. It was extremely difficult. I after my undergrad, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna hack it in medical school. So I immediately just switched to a diploma to give me the opportunity to work elsewhere, in business administration. And it was actually my first job that sort of unleashed my passion for entrepreneurship, because I worked at Endeavour South Africa, which is an entrepreneurship support organization, and I just loved working with entrepreneurs. I loved the values they stood for. I loved the idea that they took risk and the reward was outsized. I loved that they created jobs. So after 4 years, I kept thinking, I want to do more, I want to help, and then I just realized I could also start a business. I could be the one who's taking the risk and being an entrepreneur. And that's kind of where I decided that I would leave my job, come back home on a one-way ticket and start my entrepreneurial journey.
I'm curious, apart from working at Endeavour South Africa, was there like any inspiration back home, a relative, someone?
No, in fact, my entire immediate family lived except for my mother, who was living within South Africa, lived in the US. So everybody was like, why are you going back to Nigeria? You should be going to the US. That's what makes sense. But it was more around, I'd been coming to Nigeria every year and I still felt very connected to Nigeria. So it was more around coming to a familiar domain to start a business, not necessarily that, there was there was inspiration or somebody here who really inspired me. And I'd never really lived in Lagos, actually. So I moved back to Lagos and, I had to set up networks anew. I had to meet people. I had to start, growing my connections here. But, I just felt that also if I wanted to do something, I wanted it to matter at home where I'm from. And I think that's also underneath it all what was another motivator for me to come back.
So you came back and decided to start this business. What was the first step you took?
Oh, first step I did was I brought dried fruit from South Africa and started hawking it around, going to people and being like, would you buy this? Would you buy this? How much would you buy? Do you like it? So it was market research when I first came. And it took a while. I was alone and it was actually an extremely challenging time, because not only was I doing something new, I was also filled with a lot of self-doubt. I just was like, this is the wrong idea. I made the biggest mistake of my life. Like, what have I done? What have I done? And of course, I couldn't quit so early. So it was, personal battle and also sort of trying to get the products out to people. But the feedback was good. So I used to, I brought a lot of dried fruit, would package it in my little packaging that I made, printed. And when people called me and said, bring me 5 pieces, I'll get into a taxi and go somewhere and deliver and come back. So I was doing a lot of that for a while. And then I realized that, okay, we needed to properly brand it, get an NAFDAC registration and start selling in stores. That was the way we would start, meeting a wider network of people. And then, got some, family and friends, begged them, you see, the first people you beg, to give us some money to sort of kickstart after I'd finished my own, personal savings on the business. And that's kind of how we started taking it forward. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to ask about how you funded it. So I was assuming that maybe the money you made from selling the fruits.
No, they cannot. Unfortunately, if you sell 20 pieces of fruit, you cannot fund anything. Okay. Actually, this is an interesting story, but one of the reasons I moved back to Nigeria at the time I did, because I was always wondering, how am I going to fund this business? My money is not going to go far. But at the time, there was a UN grant that the government was running. And it was, I think, 10 million naira or 5 million naira. And I thought, this is a sign from above. I'm going to win this thing and I'm going to come back. Literally, I got selected for the first round. And after doing my application, I was like, I'm going to win. So they kept postponing when they're announcing. And I was like, oh, it's a sign. God is telling me to move back. So I moved back, and not even 3 days after I moved back, I got a rejection letter that I didn't actually win the grant. So I was like, oh my goodness, that was going to be the money that was going to set me up and get me going, and I didn't get it. But obviously I had to re-strategize, plan again, small, do what I needed to do to sort of move it forward. But, I think that after people saw my commitment, especially my family and friends, it was easier to get them to sort of be like, okay, she's not crazy after all. Maybe she's actually making some progress and doing some things. And I think that really helped, of course, in getting me along.
Okay, so family and friends gave you the platform.
Yeah.
And then how did you go about, what's the word now? Employing your first set of people, because now you wanted to make it like a serious business.
Yes.
How did you go around?
We ran out of space, and we couldn't fulfill demand. I couldn't keep packing plus, and all of that. So I think my now husband gave me an investment which would give us office space. We were able to rent space, hire people, and also sort of start. So that was I guess my first angel check. And it really took us far, because then we had our own location to be able to park, and we were able to buy a small van to move our goods and deliver our goods and things like that. So
you're doing everything from home
initially? Yes, we were pretty much doing everything from home, because there was not, we didn't have the resources to do it elsewhere. Yeah.
Okay. So, but I'm curious about your first hires. I'm always interested in first hires. Who did you look out for? Or was it just I just need people to help me sell? What were the things you're looking out for? Share those first few hires.
Yeah, it was. I remember my first couple of employees. I think I hired 2 at the same time to help with sales, and then we hired a driver, and then 2 people to also help us continue with the packing and the boxing and all those things. We graduated from selling the fruit in nylon bags to making cartons to branding everything. So we hired people along that way. But at the time, it was just people who I felt were, one, willing to come work, and also just had some level of maybe curiosity or interest about what we were doing. So that's kind of how I made my first hires. They were pretty much entry level, 1 to 2 years experience. It wasn't senior people at the time. So I was just looking for, are you interested in working here? If so, please come and join. And that's kind of how that's kind of how I selected.
Okay. So then when did you set up the first factory?
Well, we were working from we were working from our location we got a location in Yaba where we were doing a little bit of processing and packaging. And then we just realized that we couldn't scale up as quickly, adding more factory machinery and equipment was just, we couldn't raise the funds, etc., to do it at the scale that we were growing at. So we started also mixing it with getting, contract manufacturers, people who were processing locally, and we even got some producers in Ghana to start selling us dried fruit products, because we couldn't we didn't have the funding to be able to scale up as quickly as the demand and the market was growing. So we have a mix of having people produce for us and us also do some small processing. And also we wanted to get to a particular scale, for me, I believe in doing business in Nigeria that you only fight the battles you need to fight. And we just decided that we'd focus a lot on growing the market, growing the demand, and then backward integrating into real processing at scale, which is what our Series A is going to allow us to do. We're growing our capacity 5 times now. And that's kind of been intentional. That's been that we wanted to also make sure that we were never not going to be able to grow the market, grow our sales, etc. And then we could now focus on manufacturing after the market had been sorted out. So we did take that decision early on to sort of process, but also buy from contract manufacturers. And that really, I think, unlocked our business. It really was the difference in how quickly we were able to grow and how much we were able to demonstrate.
Control, supply, the value.
Yes, a little bit, yes, better.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll come to the expansion later, but I want to know, over the years now, 12 years running a company, a CEO.
9 years.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
9 years.
yeah.
9 years. 2012.
Yeah.
What have you learned about managing people? What are some lessons you learned?
I mean, I've learned a lot of lessons about me as a leader managing people. But I think in general, my experience has been, there are people in Nigeria who there's always a complaint that there's a lack of talent, but there's a lack of talent. I think that's true across the board. But I think that creating an environment for employees to take ownership, to be really challenged, I think has been the best resource we've had to attract people to us. And I think also me being able to coach and direct and just I would say identify and work with people's strengths and really push them to the best of that ability has also been, I think, where I've seen the most success in managing people and in getting them really committed to our mission. And I think there's also something that I would say has really helped me, which is, I think, my level of commitment. I think sometimes people expect, there's a lot of transactional employer-employee sort of relationships in Nigeria where people don't feel committed to the mission, they don't feel connected to the business owners and things like that. And I always made it clear by how much I put in my work, how much I sacrificed, that I was here for the long haul. And I think that gives people a sense of, belonging and wanting to also support and commit to that mission, because I'm not, I'm very committed to it. So also I believe that people want somebody to challenge and stretch them, and they would meet up. It's there are people who wouldn't do it anyways, but if you have people who are working with you, if you keep pushing them, they end up leveling up. And I think I try to do that, and I think it's actually helped, even though sometimes it's difficult to have all that conflict, back and forth feedback. But I think at the end, you give people this sense of accomplishment, I can do this thing, this thing that was such a challenge, or this thing that I didn't even think I could do. Someone through my lap coached me, and I'm now able to do it. I think that has really helped. With me being able to just lead a very committed team of people, very hardworking team of people, and I think people who are here, sort of for the long haul.
So how about you? What's the hardest thing you've had to learn as a CEO? Personally, the hardest thing you had to learn?
I think in the early days, the hardest thing was sharing my vision. I was very scared because, of course, I didn't know that it would actually come to life. So I was very nervous about it. And also felt, if I kept sharing this vision about us wanting to be this end-to-end business, huge manufacturing, exports around the world, even though we're in a one-bedroom, sort of ground floor building in Yaba, would people believe me? Would they think I'm ridiculous? Or would they think I had no sense of reality, right? So I often used to just keep a lot of that stuff to myself. But I found that when I started sharing that, and really being open about these were my ambitions, again, the team sort of rallied behind it and wanted to help me get there. I think the other thing I've learned is really about being audacious and being bold. And I think that's something that I'm a bold person personally, but of course, you don't find entrepreneurs who are not bold. I'm very bold, but in business, I was very, timid, shy, and kind of always expecting the worst and things like that. And it showed in sometimes the way we did business, what we're willing to accept, etc. But getting bolder about saying this is what we stand for, this is what we won't do, this is what we will do, I think has also helped my team also realize, like, okay, we can also act in that manner, and also, even bold about saying this is who we want to be in the Nigerian context around our business. I think, there are a lot of things and innovations that we've learned and unearthed in this company because we've just said we're going to try it. We're just going to be bold about doing it, and we're not going to, worry about whether it's been done before or who said no or who said yes. Like, it's our way. We're sort of charting our own path, and I think that has become quite infectious. And I'm so proud because I know that me from like 5 years ago, it was always about like, oh God, it will go wrong. It will all go wrong. And now, even the things some of my team members want to try, I'm in awe. I'm like, wow, like, we're going to really go for it. We're going to try do these things. And there's so many examples, so many that I could list, and I think that culture has now become something that we imbibe and really live, and it's really amazing. Yeah.
Riding on that, what are like the biggest challenges that you guys are about to surmount running a business like this in Nigeria?
Oh God, we could be here forever, but I mean, raw materials, sourcing raw materials. I mean, we source raw materials from as far as like Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire, and my production manager, what she's had to do to try and get them. Like, sometimes I'm in awe that I'm just like, how did you even do that, But again, it's this idea that we can do it. We had challenges with cold storage and being able to set up cold storage 24 hours, so expensive, and we needed it. And my QA, lead and production manager figured it out online and like set it up. And we have a, cold storage thing that cost us not a lot of money. Listing on Amazon and expanding our markets, things like that. We just dared to do it. And really, I mean, you talked about challenges. I think getting to the point where we're also running our business, but not, I faced so many devaluations coming back to Nigeria and doing business in the last 9 years. And so managing to keep on top of that has been one of our biggest challenges, because every time there's a devaluation, a lot of companies fold, sort of rightly so. They can't do anything about it. But managing through that and just always being focused on, growing and being efficient and all of that stuff, those are huge challenges. Just macroeconomic instability is a big problem in Nigeria and in Nigerian businesses. And I would say that's been one thing that we've tried as much as possible to solve. Yeah.
Was there ever any time when you just felt like throwing in the door?
Oh yeah.
Many times.
Very many times. Very, very many times. And there was one time where I actually thought that, there's a time when you're dogged and you believe you can do everything, and you just, you're like, you want to prove that you're that entrepreneur. And a year, like I think in 2018, 2019, I said, I'm tired of running a small company. In my estimation, I'm like, I've built such a strong team. I know we're good for more. I know we can do more, and we always get one obstacle of another in terms of fundraising, expanding. And I just said, I'm not interested in running. I'm not interested in running a small company anymore. I know I'm a very capable entrepreneur. I know I'm very good. I have a good team. So we don't raise money to expand. I don't want to keep on, crawling. And that was one of the times I thought I would actually just be like, okay, I'm over it, because I don't need to prove anything to myself anymore. I've done it. And then, obviously the tide turns, and then you start getting, more funding and all of that stuff starts coming in. And then, we're able to scale, and then, you're able to, see your team members do great things and stuff like that. So that sort of picked up my inspiration again. But
it's really at the last moment when
you're about to be like, okay, I gave myself a deadline. By December, I'm done. And then a miracle happens. Yeah.
Always. Yeah. like that's a recurring thing.
Yeah.
So, but what you guys have done is very amazing, because the space you're playing again, we've talked about the challenges of getting raw materials and every other thing that is going on. But what lessons can you share with anyone who is trying to build something around the agriculture, agri-tech, agribusiness? based on your...
Yeah, so I think that I would never say that there's an advantage to being 9 years in business and finally being able to scale up. But I would say that the only advantage is the one key advantage which is really played in our favor is knowledge. We know a lot about our sector because of the time we spent in it and how much we've gone around the world to get information. And I think that is the hallmark of a successful venture. It's like, do you understanding more than the next person how much what the intricacies of your sector are, so that you're not caught with any surprises about market trends or macroeconomic windfalls and gains, etc. A research around your region, the world, and what's going on. So for me, that time that we spend learning so much about our sector is paying off in amazing ways, and even in the mistakes we avoid. It's not even sometimes in what we do, it's what we know not to do because of how much we know about our sector. So I would encourage people that they would need to actually really be committed to learning, and doing that through a number of ways: working in the industry, talking to other entrepreneurs in the field, really understanding what has happened to sector, companies in your sector. That really helps you so that you don't walk into those pitfalls, but you also are armed and you also are armed with sort of knowledge about how things are likely going to go, and you can plan accordingly. The second thing I would say is networks. Nigeria, the world is run by networks, by the way, not just Nigeria, but in Nigeria, you do need to know people to get things. And I think instead of, it's worthwhile to invest in creating very strong networks around your industry, around people who could help you. That's been very valuable for me and continues to be. I mean, there's so many challenges. I just call people, call friends, call acquaintances, and people are willing to help. People are actually willing to help. I mean, I don't buy the story that, people are very guarded or caged or whatever. They're willing to help where they can. And, of course, especially if they see you as somebody who is really serious and committed to what you're doing. So I think networks is very important to people actually being able to build their businesses. And I think also, just acknowledging the time it will take and being ready to commit that time. I mean, somebody told me in advance it would take me this long, I would say no ways. I remember I talked to a friend when I first started, and he was like, Afi, it took me 5 years from having an idea of my factory to actually building it. And in my mind, I was like, that's insane. There's no way. And here I am, like 9 years later, kind of in that same boat. So at that time, I was like, I was not willing to accept that, but it was kind of, what it was. And so just understanding what it will take and the time it will take and being committed to that goal is also something I think would help. And obviously having a good family and support, friendships and also other I would say distractions, because entrepreneurship can really consume your life and consume everything you do, and you find that you're giving all of yourself to this path and this commitment and this journey, and having things that you do outside of that I think has also helped me along the way. I'm a runner. I play sort of recreational football. I try to do things that are outside of my business just to give me that sense of separation, in sort of the different facets of my life. So that is also very helpful.
So all of those are deliberate to give you that kind of...
Yes, absolutely. I need it, because otherwise you can think of work 24 hours and it just is very consuming. And your life becomes very one-dimensional. Making time for your friends and your family, there's always a convenient reason to be working more, to be doing more, and it's like there comes a time where you sort of give room for other things.
But would you advise anyone to, because you said something about when you talk about learning about your industry, one of the ways is working in the industry. But in your own case, your route was, you just went straight into it. Would you advise anybody to do it the way you did?
No.
Are you yourself, would you do that?
No, I would not do that. There's so many things I would do differently. The first one is not be a first mover, because that took me a lot of time.
Somebody has to be the first mover.
I know, somebody had to do it. But I wouldn't be a first mover. And I would also probably... I think I started when I was quite young. I started my business at 26. So I had the advantage of time, but at the same time I was like 26, so I didn't have much liquidity or much resource, and people, the statistics show that sort of the average age of entrepreneurs is actually like in their 40s. When you have somewhat more liquidity, maybe you've bought an asset and a house, and then you have better networks from the work you've done. So you actually can move a venture much faster later in life, which is counterintuitive when people say, oh, hustle now because you're young, etc. So, but for me, I like that I started early because I needed a lot of time to actually build, the industry that I was going to actually be in. So that helped in my favor. But I would advise that if people want to pursue entrepreneurship, they should create some very specific goals around how much, what assets they want to build up prior, your financial, how much do you want in the bank, just building up your personal finance to a point where you're comfortable and not desperate. You will always have cash flow problems and money problems, but there has to be like a barrier that's kind of healthy, It's difficult to run a company when your bank account is on E every day for like 24 hours a day. So I would say that's usually, I would advise people to take a more planned and thoughtful and moderate approach. Wait a bit later, save up money, and then invest in other things as well, just so that I think it actually gives you more freedom to actually run the business versus putting your eggs in one basket, which is what I did, and hoping for the best, which is not it has its pluses and minuses. Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about future plans. I think that's my final question.
Okay.
On the backdrop of your fundraise, what's the plan for ReelFruit? I understand you're trying to expand capacity. Share the mission and vision.
Oh, great! This fundraise has really unlocked a lot for us, and for me, it's also around my personal purpose in business, and just what I'm excited to do in the fruit value chain. So we are going to, grow our monthly capacity 5x with our factory, which is going to be in Abeokuta, and that means that we're going to be working with a lot more farmers, procuring a lot more raw materials from them, helping them improve their yields, introducing new varieties of fruit into the Nigerian market, basically. And that's really exciting, for me. It's like, again, pioneering, innovation and pioneering positive change at the farmer level. At the processing level, we're going to, be adding new product lines for different customer segments. So we're very excited about being able to own that and do that at a very rapid pace, not just selling branded products, but selling, products to other, as inputs to other customers, etc. And then, the market, on the market side, really expanding our reach. One of my big goals was to create in Nigeria for the world. I wanted a product made here to be of the quality and caliber that it could sit on every shelf in the world. And we've made some strides there. We just exported our products to the UK, and now we have our own e-commerce store in the US, selling direct, but we want to expand into those markets even further, selling larger volumes of different types of products to different customers around the world. So again, having the capacity and expanded capacity to do that really unlocks that. And of course, there's a lot of good that does in terms of, beyond even revenues, growth of employment, but it sets an example. And that's really important for me as well, that, we can sort of demonstrate a path of a Nigerian company that is really trying to be end-to-end, but also serving customers around the world, and demonstrate that it can be done, and, hopefully others follow.
So did you say you're going to do direct to customer in the US?
Yes, we already are.
So that's going to take a lot of... So you have to have a lot of technology behind that.
We did actually. We just figured that out. We had to basically we're using a third-party logistics partner in the US, and we're storing there. And when people order, the fulfillment is happening from the US. So that is going to help customers get their products in a very short amount of time.
So production here,
yes,
shipped over there.
Yes, exactly. And then
so inventory management is going to come in.
Yes. But there's some really cool technological tools that are helping make that quite seamless and easy. And for us, it's also just saying, well, even let people experience our products and enjoy our products wherever they are. Not, even Nigerians in the diaspora as well. Like, we love them to be able to get our products as conveniently as they get anything else they wanted there. So, and it's also just a push for us again to set that example, to hopefully that other Nigerian companies can see this as a path for them to sell their products across the world.
I like that. Nigeria to the world.
Yes.
Okay, how about 10 years into the future? What's the vision?
To just keep growing it, to get it bigger and bigger and bigger. I think, we want to dominate this space and really just take it to the extent of how much it could go. There's so many ways it could go, and I think there are a lot of opportunities for us. But for me, it's maximizing what we do to be able to get as many, as much impact as we can, to be able to create as much opportunity for Nigerians, for our products, for our farmers, to be able to grow to be like an FMCG, a national, like a brand that will last 100 years, from Nigeria to the world, and just continuing to dare to try and do that and make sure that, we really cement ourselves as something that is hopefully timeless. That would be great.
I look forward to that.
Yes, yeah.
I really look forward to that. A Nigerian brand, FMCG brand that's all over the world. How many countries in Africa are you at?
Well, we don't particularly sell across Africa because it's very difficult, very challenging to.
Even with the Africa Free Trade Zone.
No, that's not. I don't even know when that is coming into effect, but no, unfortunately not. There's too much duplicity of taxation, registration. It's very, very difficult actually to sell within Africa. So it's much easier for us to sell in Europe and the US. I hope that changes in the future. But, for us, again, like I said, we source from across West Africa. And that's also part of how we want to spread our tentacles, getting products from Ghana, from Cote d'Ivoire, from wherever we can, and doing so efficiently and building those trade networks. It's really been advantageous for us as well. And we think that's going to sort of continue.
Yeah, so you're essentially a Pan-African company.
We will be, but then Pan-African and then global.
You're sourcing from all.
Yes, we are. No, we are.
Okay, global. Sorry. No, what I mean is your origin.
Yes, of course. And then that's really good. That's really important to us. Otherwise, it really matters. And I think that's part of why my mission is to be here and to continue to sort of build this as much as I can.
All right. Looking forward to growth.
Thank you very much.
And I'm really rooting for you.
Thank you
so much for the time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And I hope that everybody is inspired with your story.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you very much.